What if the difference between living to 75 and living vibrantly to 95 comes down to what you do in the 5 minutes after your eyes open each morning? What if that foggy feeling, those creaky joints, that sense of being older than you should feel, what if none of that is inevitable, but rather your body's desperate signal that you're missing a critical morning reset? And what if I told you that while you've been worrying about diet, exercise, and medications, the most powerful longevity tool you have is completely free and takes less time than making your morning tea? Let me ask you something brutally honest. When you wake up tomorrow morning, what's the very first thing you'll feel? Is it stiffness? That moment of disorientation where you're not quite sure if you can trust your legs to hold you when you stand? Perhaps it's that mental fog, like your brain is wrapped in cotton wool and won't properly engage until you've been upright for an hour. Maybe it's a slight anxiety about the day ahead, wondering if today will be one of the good days, or one of those days where everything feels harder than it should. If any of this resonates with you, I need you to understand something crucial. This isn't just aging. This is your body begging for a specific sequence of actions it's not receiving. And every morning you miss it, the gap between how you feel and how you could feel grows wider. Here's what nobody tells you about being over 65. Your body operates on completely different rules now than it did at 40 or even 50. The resilience you once had, that ability to bounce back from a poor night's sleep or jump straight out of bed and into your day, that's not laziness disappearing. It's biology changing. After 65, your circadian rhythms become more fragile. Your blood pressure regulation needs more time to stabilize. Your joints require a warm-up period that younger bodies don't need. Your brain takes longer to fully engage its cognitive networks. And most significantly, your cells become far more sensitive to the signals you send them in those first critical minutes of consciousness. Send the wrong signals or no signals at all, and you're essentially telling your body that decline is acceptable, expected, inevitable. But here's where it gets interesting and frankly where it gets hopeful. Recent understanding of cellular biology has revealed something extraordinary about the morning hours, particularly for older adults. There's a window, roughly 5 to 10 minutes after waking, where your body is exceptionally receptive to recalibration. Your cells are transitioning from repair mode to active mode. Your hormonal systems are resetting for the day. Your nervous system is coming back online. And during this transition, you have an opportunity to influence how efficiently and youthfully these systems operate. Think of it like tuning an instrument before a performance. You wouldn't expect a violin to sound beautiful if you never tuned the strings, would you? Your body is the same. It needs tuning each morning, and the quality of that tuning determines the quality of everything that follows. The tragedy is that most people over 65 do the exact opposite of what their body needs. They lie there worrying about their to-do list, letting anxiety flood their system with cortisol before they've even sat up, or they jolt awake to an alarm and immediately rush to the bathroom, forcing their cardiovascular system to cope with sudden position changes it's not ready for. Some reach for their phone, flooding their brain with blue light and information overload before their cognitive systems have properly engaged. Others simply lie there in a sort of limbo, neither properly resting nor actively waking, missing a window entirely. And then there are those who developed elaborate morning routines based on advice meant for younger people, doing stretches that strain cold joints or following protocols that don't account for the specific vulnerabilities of an aging body. What you're about to learn is different. This isn't about adding more tasks to your morning or making things more complicated. This is about understanding the precise sequence your body needs to shift from vulnerable to vital, from shut down to switched on, from aging rapidly to aging gracefully. 5 simple steps, 5 minutes total, done in a specific order that works with your biology rather than against it. No equipment needed. No expensive supplements. No complicated movements. Just you, your body, and the knowledge of exactly what it needs. Let me explain exactly what's happening inside your body during those first few minutes after you wake up, because understanding this will change how you think about mornings forever. While you sleep, your body enters a state that's quite different from simply being inactive. Your heart rate slows significantly, sometimes dropping to 40 or 50 beats per minute. Your blood pressure decreases by about 10 to 20%. Your core body temperature drops slightly. Your brain shifts through different wave patterns, moving from deep delta waves to lighter theta waves as morning approaches. And crucially, your blood becomes slightly thicker and more viscous because you've been horizontal for hours without hydrating. All of this is completely normal and necessary for repair and restoration. The problem isn't what happens during sleep. The problem is what happens, or rather what doesn't happen, during the transition out of sleep. When you're younger, your body handles this transition almost automatically. Your cardiovascular system quickly adjusts to position changes. Your blood pressure normalizes within seconds. Your cognitive functions come online rapidly. But after 65, this automatic adjustment system becomes less responsive. Your baroreceptors, the tiny sensors in your blood vessels that detect pressure changes and trigger compensatory responses, they become less sensitive with age. Your autonomic nervous system, which manages all these unconscious adjustments, it responds more slowly. Your blood vessels become slightly less elastic, making rapid pressure changes more challenging. This is why so many seniors experience that dizzy, disoriented feeling upon waking, or why standing up too quickly can cause lightheadedness or even falls. It's not weakness. It's a biological adjustment period that requires conscious support. But here's what makes this morning window so critical, and why missing it has consequences that extend far beyond feeling groggy. During sleep, your body has been in repair mode. Your cells have been clearing out damaged proteins and metabolic waste through a process called autophagy. Your brain has been consolidating memories and flushing out toxins through the glymphatic system. Your immune system has been rebuilding and strengthening. Your mitochondria, the tiny power plants in your cells, have been regenerating. All of this repair work creates a state of cellular readiness when you wake. Your cells are essentially asking, what kind of day are we having? Are we in decline mode or vitality mode? And the signals you send in those first 5 minutes provide the answer. If you immediately stress your system by standing too quickly, your cells receive a distress signal. If you flood your brain with screen light before it's ready, you disrupt the natural cortisol awakening response that's supposed to energize you gradually. If you skip hydration, your cells remain in a semi-dehydrated state that impairs every function from nutrient transport to waste removal. If you remain completely still without any gentle movement, your joints stay stiff and your circulation remains sluggish. Each of these missed opportunities doesn't just affect how you feel in the moment. They set a pattern for the entire day. Your energy levels will be lower. Your mental clarity will be reduced. Your physical capabilities will be diminished. And most significantly, your cellular systems will operate in a kind of low-grade survival mode rather than thriving mode. Now, there's something called the inflammatory cascade that's particularly relevant for seniors. Inflammation is your body's natural response to stress, injury, or perceived threat. A little inflammation is necessary and helpful, but chronic low-level inflammation, sometimes called inflammaging, is one of the primary drivers of accelerated aging. It contributes to everything from arthritis to heart disease to cognitive decline. And here's the connection to your morning routine. How you wake up directly influences your inflammatory markers for the entire day. A stressful, abrupt, poorly managed wake-up triggers inflammatory responses. A calm, gradual, properly sequenced wake-up reduces inflammation and activates anti-inflammatory pathways. This isn't speculation. This is measurable in blood tests. The cortisol levels, the cytokine markers, the oxidative stress indicators, they all shift based on how you start your day. Think about what this means practically. If you're experiencing more joint pain, more brain fog, more fatigue than you think you should at your age, it might not be inevitable decline. It might be accumulated morning mismanagement. Every day you wake up without supporting your body's transition properly, you're adding a small deposit into an inflammation account. Over months and years, that account grows, and you start experiencing it as accelerated aging. But the reverse is also true. Every morning you get it right, you're making a deposit into vitality and longevity. The effects compound positively just as powerfully as they compound negatively. Now we're going to build your 5-minute morning routine, and I want you to understand that the order matters enormously. Each step prepares your body for the next one, creating a cascade of positive signals that wake you up properly from the inside out. We're started with the 2 foundation steps that everything else builds upon, and I promise you, these are nothing like the morning routines you've tried before. These are specifically designed for bodies over 65, accounting for everything we've just discussed about your unique biological needs. Step 1 is called the conscious awakening transition, and it begins the moment your eyes open, before you've moved a single muscle. Here's exactly what you do. The instant you become aware that you're awake, don't move yet. Instead, take 3 very specific breaths while you're still lying in whatever position you woke up in. Breathe in slowly through your nose for a count of 4, feeling your belly rise. Hold that breath gently for a count of 3. Then exhale through your mouth for a count of 6, making the exhale longer than the inhale. This isn't just relaxation breathing. This specific pattern does something crucial. It activates your vagus nerve, the major nerve that runs from your brain down through your body and controls your parasympathetic nervous system. When you stimulate the vagus nerve with controlled breathing, you're essentially telling your entire nervous system to wake up gradually and calmly rather than in a state of alarm. This prevents that cortisol spike that comes from jolting awake, and it gives your cardiovascular system time to adjust. After those 3 breaths, still without moving your body, I want you to do what I call a sensory inventory. This takes about 30 seconds. With your eyes still closed or softly open, become aware of 5 things. First, notice what you can hear. Is it birds outside? The hum of the heating system? Traffic in the distance? Don't judge it, just notice it. Second, notice what you can feel against your skin. The weight of the duvet, the texture of the sheets, the temperature of the air on your face. Third, notice any taste in your mouth. Fourth, notice any scents you can detect. And fifth, slowly open your eyes if they're not already open, and notice what you can see without moving your head, just whatever is in your immediate field of vision. Why does this matter? Because you're activating multiple sensory pathways simultaneously, which brings blood flow to your brain in a distributed, balanced way. You're essentially switching on your awareness systems one by one rather than demanding they all fire up at once. This prevents that foggy, disoriented feeling and actually improves cognitive function for hours afterward. Now comes the movement portion of step 1, and this is where most people make their first major mistake. They sit up. Don't sit up yet. Instead, while you're still lying down, begin with micro movements. Wiggle your toes, all of them, spreading them apart if you can. Flex your feet, pointing your toes toward your face, then away. Make small circles with your ankles, just tiny rotations. Then move to your fingers, opening and closing your hands, spreading your fingers wide, making gentle fists. Rotate your wrists in small circles. These movements might seem insignificant, but they're sending crucial signals. You're activating the smallest blood vessels in your extremities, encouraging circulation to wake up gradually. You're stimulating proprioceptors, the sensors in your joints that tell your brain where your body is in space. And you're warming up your synovial fluid, the natural lubricant in your joints that's become thick and sluggish overnight. Only after you've done these micro movements for about 30 seconds should you proceed to the next stage, which is rolling onto your side. Not sitting up, rolling to your side. Spend another 10 to 15 seconds in this sideline position, allowing your inner ear, which controls balance, to adjust to the change in orientation. Step 2 is called the grounded rising sequence, and it's the bridge between lying down and standing up. From your sideline position, use your arms to push yourself up to sitting, taking at least 5 seconds to make this transition. Don't rush it. Once you're sitting on the edge of your bed, plant both feet flat on the floor, hip width apart. This is crucial. Feel the contact between the soles of your feet and the floor. Press down gently, then release. Press and release several times. What you're doing here is called grounding or earthing, and it's not mystical nonsense. It's neurological fact. The soles of your feet contain thousands of mechanoreceptors that send information to your brain about stability and position. When you consciously activate these receptors, you're dramatically improving your balance and spatial awareness before you even attempt to stand. This is one of the most effective fall prevention techniques available, and it takes 15 seconds. While you're sitting with your feet planted, do 3 more of those controlled breaths. 4 counts in, 3 counts hold, 6 counts out. During these breaths, I want you to do something that might feel odd but is remarkably powerful. Gently press your tongue against the roof of your mouth, right behind your front teeth. This position, which is actually the natural resting position your tongue should be in, activates another vagus nerve pathway and helps stabilize your neck and jaw muscles, which in turn improves your posture and balance when you stand. Now that you properly transition from sleep to sitting, your cardiovascular system is stable, your balance mechanisms are engaged, and your nervous system is calm but alert. This is the perfect moment for step 3, which is called the cellular hydration protocol. And I need to be very clear about this because simply drinking water isn't enough. What your body needs at this precise moment is strategic hydration that accounts for what's happened to your cells overnight. While you slept, you lost approximately half a liter of water through breathing and perspiration. Your blood has become more concentrated. Your cells have shrunk slightly due to dehydration. Your lymphatic system, which clears waste from your tissues, has slowed to a crawl because it relies on movement and hydration to function. And here's what most people don't realize. When you're dehydrated, your cells can't properly absorb nutrients, eliminate toxins, or generate energy. Every system in your body operates at reduced efficiency. For seniors, this dehydration effect is even more pronounced because your thirst mechanism becomes less sensitive with age. You can be significantly dehydrated without feeling thirsty at all. This is why so many older adults experience chronic low energy, poor concentration, and increased pain levels. They're simply not hydrated properly, and it all starts with missing the morning hydration window. Here's exactly what you need to do for step 3. Before you stand up on the edge of your bed, you should have prepared a glass of room temperature water the night before, kept on your bedside table. Room temperature is important because cold water can shock your digestive system when it's just waking up. Into this water, you're going to add a tiny pinch of natural sea salt, not table salt, but unrefined sea salt that contains trace minerals. Just a pinch, barely enough to taste. This isn't about sodium intake for blood pressure. It's about giving your cells the electrolytes they need to actually absorb the water. Water without electrolytes just passes through you. Water with a small amount of natural minerals gets absorbed at the cellular level. Drink this slowly over about 60 seconds. Don't gulp it down. Sip it steadily, allowing your mouth and throat to register the sensation. This slow drinking activates your digestive system gently and gives your kidneys time to process the incoming fluid rather than overwhelming them. After you finish your water, wait 20 to 30 seconds before standing. Use this time to notice how your body feels. You might sense a subtle shift in energy, a slight lifting of that morning heaviness. Some people describe it as feeling like their brain is switching on properly for the first time. This is real. You're just giving your cells the raw material they need to begin functioning optimally, and they respond within minutes. Now, and only now, are you ready to stand. Use both hands on your knees or the bed to push yourself up, taking 3 to 4 seconds to rise. Stand still for a moment once you're upright, feet planted firmly, and take one more of those controlled breaths. You should feel stable, clear-headed, and ready for movement. If you feel dizzy at all, sit back down and wait another 30 seconds before trying again. There's no rush. You're teaching your body a new pattern, and it needs time to adapt. Step 4 is called a morning mobility awakening, and this is where you begin to tell your body that today is a day of capability, not limitation. But we're not doing traditional exercises here. We're not doing stretches that pull on cold muscles or movements that demand performance from joints that aren't ready. Instead, we're doing something called articular rotations, which are gentle, controlled movements that wake up your joints one by one without any strain or force. These movements are based on the principle that your joints need circulation and lubrication before they can move properly, and the only way to create that circulation is through gentle, repetitive motion in their natural range. Start with your ankles. Stand next to a wall or sturdy piece of furniture. You can touch lightly for balance if needed. Lift one foot slightly off the ground and make slow circles with your ankle, as if you're drawing circles with your big toe. Do 6 circles in one direction, then 6 in the other. Switch feet and repeat. You're not trying to make big circles or force your ankle through uncomfortable ranges. You're simply encouraging the synovial fluid in the ankle joint to start flowing, lubricating the cartilage and nourishing the joint surfaces. Move up to your knees next, with feet hip-width apart. Place your hands lightly on your knees and make small circular movements, bending your knees slightly and rotating them gently. 6 circles clockwise, 6 counterclockwise. You should feel warmth beginning to develop in the joint. That's increased blood flow, exactly what you want. Continue this pattern up your body. Your hips next, making small circles with your pelvis while keeping your upper body relatively still. Then your spine, doing gentle side-to-side sways, just a few inches in each direction, no twisting or forcing. Your shoulders come next, making slow, controlled circles with your arms hanging loosely. Then your neck, moving it slowly and carefully through its comfortable range of motion, never forcing, never going to the point of pain. Finally, your wrists and fingers, making circles and gentle opening and closing movements. The entire sequence takes about 90 seconds. And by the end of it, you've activated every major joint in your body. You've increased circulation from your feet to your head. You've stimulated the production of synovial fluid throughout your skeletal system. And you've sent a powerful message to your nervous system that says, we're mobile, we're capable, we're ready for the day. We've reached the final and perhaps most powerful step of your 5-minute routine. And this is where everything we've done so far gets locked into your system for the day ahead. Step 5 is called a mental calibration exercise, and it addresses something that most morning routines completely ignore: the fact that your brain needs activation just as much as your body does, and the way you activate in these early moments determines your cognitive performance, emotional resilience, and even your physical capabilities for the next 12 to 16 hours. Here's what's happening in your brain right now, about 4 minutes into your morning routine. You've stabilized your nervous system with breathing. You've activated your sensory pathways. You've hydrated your cells. You've mobilized your joints. Your body is awake and functioning. But your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning, decision-making, focus, and emotional regulation, it's still operating at about 60 to 70% capacity. This is completely normal. The prefrontal cortex is one of the last brain regions to fully engage after sleep, especially in older adults. And if you don't actively engage it within the first 10 minutes of waking, it can stay in this sluggish state for hours, which is why so many seniors report feeling mentally sharper in the afternoon than in the morning. It's not that you're naturally a late starter. It's that you haven't activated your cognitive systems properly at the beginning of the day. Step 5 requires you to engage in what's called active recall for exactly 60 seconds. This means deliberately retrieving information from your memory, which forces your hippocampus and prefrontal cortex to fire up and work together. Here's a simple way to do this. Standing where you are after your joint movements, speak out loud and name 5 things from each of these categories. First, 5 people you love or care about, saying each name clearly. Second, 5 places you've been that hold good memories, naming the specific location. Third, 5 things you're looking forward to, even small things like a cup of tea or a phone call with a friend. And fourth, 5 things you're grateful for right now in this moment. The key is that you must say these out loud, not just think them. Speaking activates different neural pathways in thinking. It requires your brain to coordinate language centers, memory centers, motor control for speech, and emotional processing all at once. This multi-system activation is exactly what pulls your brain into full wakefulness. But there's something else happening during this exercise that's even more profound. When you focus on people you care about, places you've enjoyed, things you're anticipating, and things you're grateful for, you're actively shaping your emotional set point for the day. Your brain releases a small amount of dopamine when you think about pleasant things, serotonin when you feel grateful, and oxytocin when you think about people you love. These neurochemicals don't just make you feel good. They reduce inflammation, improve immune function, enhance pain tolerance, and increase your resilience to stress. Studies on older adults have shown that people who practice morning gratitude and positive recall experience measurably better health outcomes over time. They have lower rates of depression, better cardiovascular health, stronger immune systems, and yes, they actually live longer. This isn't positive thinking nonsense. This is biochemistry. Your thoughts create chemical reactions in your body, and the thoughts you think first thing in the morning have an outsized impact because your brain is still in that malleable, receptive state. Now, let me explain why these 5 steps work so powerfully when done together in this specific sequence. Each step builds on the previous one, creating what's called a physiological cascade. The breathing in step 1 activates your vagus nerve and signals safety to your nervous system. This allows step 2, the grounded rising, to happen without triggering a stress response or blood pressure instability. The stability you created in steps 1 and 2 allows step 3, the hydration, to be absorbed efficiently rather than just passing through. The cellular hydration in step 3 provides the raw materials your joints need in step 4 to produce synovial fluid and increase circulation. And the physical activation in step 4 increases blood flow to your brain, which makes step 5, the mental calibration, far more effective. It's a chain reaction, and missing any link weakens the entire chain. Let me give you a real example of how this plays out. Margaret is 71 and lives in Cornwall. Before she started this routine, her mornings were a struggle. She'd wake feeling stiff and foggy, take 20 minutes just to feel stable enough to walk to the kitchen, and often wouldn't feel properly alert until 10 or 11 in the morning. She was taking medication for high blood pressure, experiencing frequent joint pain, and had started to worry about her memory because she kept forgetting appointments and conversations. Her doctor suggested it was just normal aging. But Margaret decided to try this 5-minute routine consistently for 3 weeks. Within the first week, she noticed she could get out of bed without that initial wave of dizziness. By week 2, the morning brain fog had lifted significantly. She was remembering things more clearly and felt more emotionally steady. By week 3, something remarkable happened. Her blood pressure readings at her regular checkup had improved enough that her doctor reduced her medication dosage. Her joint pain, particularly in her knees and hands, had decreased noticeably, and she reported feeling more energetic and optimistic than she had in years. She told me, "I didn't realize how much I'd accepted feeling terrible as normal until I felt genuinely good again." Let me show you exactly how these 5 steps come together into one seamless 5-minute routine, and more importantly, what happens to your body and your life when you commit to doing this every single morning. Because this isn't just about feeling slightly better or having a bit more energy. This is about fundamentally changing your trajectory, about choosing vitality over decline, about reclaiming capabilities you thought were gone forever. Let me walk you through the complete sequence one more time, so you can see how elegantly it flows, and then I'll tell you what to expect as you make this your daily practice. You wake up, eyes open, don't move yet. 3 control breaths, 4 counts in, 3 counts hold, 6 counts out. 30 seconds of sensory inventory, noticing sounds, sensations, tastes, scents, sights. Micro movements with toes, feet, ankles, fingers, hands, wrists. Roll to your side. Pause. Use your arms to push up to sitting over 5 seconds. Sit on the edge of the bed, feet flat on the floor, pressing and releasing against the ground. 3 more control breaths with tongue against the roof of your mouth. Drink your prepared water with a pinch of sea salt slowly over 60 seconds. Wait 20 seconds. Stand slowly using your hand for support. 1 stabilizing breath while standing. Begin articular rotations, ankles, knees, hips, spine, shoulders, neck, wrists, fingers, 90 seconds total. Finally, your mental calibration. Speaking aloud 5 people, 5 places, 5 future things, 5 gratitudes, 60 seconds. Done. 5 minutes total. Your body is awake, stable, hydrated, mobile, and mentally sharp. Your day has begun properly. Now, let me tell you what happens when you do this consistently. Week 1 is about establishing the pattern and noticing the immediate effects. You'll feel more stable when you stand. The morning dizziness will reduce or disappear entirely. You'll notice you can move more easily with less stiffness. Your mind will feel clearer earlier in the day. These aren't subtle changes. Most people notice them within 3 to 4 days. Week 2 is when the deeper effects start to emerge. Your energy levels throughout the day become more consistent. You'll find you're not experiencing that mid-morning crash or afternoon exhaustion as severely. Your joints will feel more comfortable, less creaky and painful. You might notice you're sleeping better at night because your body's circadian rhythm is being properly reset each morning. Week 3 and 4 are when people start to notice changes that surprise them. Memory improves. You'll remember names, appointments, and conversations more easily. Physical capabilities increase. Tasks that felt difficult, like getting down the floor or reaching overhead, start to feel manageable again. Mood stabilizes. The anxiety and low-level depression that many seniors experience begins to lift. And perhaps most significantly, you start to feel like yourself again. Not the diminished version you've been becoming, but the vital, capable person you remember being. Let me share another example that perfectly illustrates the compound effect of this routine. Thomas is 68 and lives in Manchester. He's a retired teacher who'd been struggling with what he described as a general decline. Nothing catastrophically wrong, just a gradual wearing down. He was tired all the time. His arthritis was getting worse. He'd stopped going to his weekly history club because the evening meetings left him exhausted for days afterward. His wife had started doing most of the cooking because standing in the kitchen for more than 10 minutes made his back ache unbearably. Thomas told me he felt like he was watching his life get smaller and smaller, and he didn't know how to stop it. He started this 5-minute morning routine somewhat skeptically, but he committed to doing it every single day for a month. The first week, he noticed the practical improvements, better balance, less morning stiffness, clearer thinking. But by week 3, something shifted internally. He described it as remembering that he had agency, that his body could respond to what he asked of it. He started cooking dinner again, finding that his back didn't ache the way it used to. He returned to his history club and not only attended the meetings but stayed for the social hour afterward. By week 6, he'd started taking short walks in the morning after his routine, something he hadn't done in over a year. When I spoke to him 3 months in, he said something profound. He said, "I thought aging meant constantly losing things. But this routine taught me that I was losing things because I'd stopped doing the basics my body needed. Once I started doing them again, I started getting pieces of myself back. This is what I want you to understand. You're not helpless against aging. You're not doomed to decline. Your body is remarkably responsive at any age, but it needs the right inputs at the right times. This 5-minute morning routine provides those inputs. It resets your nervous system. It stabilizes your cardiovascular function. It hydrates your cells. It mobilizes your joints. It activates your brain. And it does all of this in a sequence that works with your biology rather than against it. The difference between someone who ages well and someone who ages poorly often comes down to these small daily practices, repeated consistently over time. The effects compound. Every morning you do this routine, you're investing in your future self. You're reducing inflammation. You're improving circulation. You're maintaining cognitive function. You're strengthening your balance and coordination. You're literally adding quality days, months, and potentially years to your life. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. 5 minutes sounds easy, but will I actually do it? Will I remember? Will I stick with it when I don't feel immediate dramatic results? Let me give you some practical advice for making this sustainable. First, prepare the night before. Put that glass of water with a tiny pinch of salt on your bedside table before you go to sleep. This removes the barrier of having to prepare it when you wake up. Second, write out the 5 steps on a card and keep it where you can see it for the first week. You'll memorize the sequence quickly, but having a visual reminder helps establish the habit. Third, track it somehow. Put a tick on a calendar or tell someone you trust that you're doing this and report to them daily. Accountability dramatically increases follow-through. And fourth, be patient with yourself. If you miss a day, don't spiral into guilt or give up entirely. Just start again the next morning. Consistency over time matters far more than perfection. Here's my challenge to you. Commit to this routine for 30 days. Just 30 days. Write today's date on a calendar and mark the date 30 days from now. Every morning in between, do these 5 steps. Then, on day 30, assess how you feel compared to today. I'm confident you'll notice significant improvements. Better balance, more energy, clearer thinking, less pain, better mood, increased capability. And once you experience those improvements, You won't need me to convince you to continue. Your own body will be all the motivation you need. So let me ask you directly, which of these 5 steps resonates most with you? Which one are you most excited to try tomorrow morning? And what's been the biggest struggle in your current morning routine that you're hoping this will solve? Drop your answers in the comments below, because I read every single one, and I reply with personalized suggestions for your specific situation. You're not just watching a video. You're joining a community of people who refuse to accept decline as inevitable, who are actively choosing vitality, and who support each other in that choice. Before you go, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because we release new content every week specifically designed for people over 65 who want to live fully, move freely, and think clearly for as many years as possible. This isn't about anti-aging. This is about aging brilliantly. Your body is capable of so much more than you've been led to believe. This 5-minute morning routine is your tool for unlocking that capability. Start tomorrow. Your future self is counting on you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.